All right, let's have a look at passage 4, questions 13 to 16. This passage talks about America's teenagers, America's adolescents, and how they're not doing well. Then the author tries to explore what are the reasons that they're not doing well, right? So the author quotes two psychologists, psychoanalysts, Erik Erikson and later on Freud, to explore the reasons as to why they are not doing well. Okay, so for instance, Erikson said that the danger for them was diffusion when they needed identity, right? So there were a lot of contradictions, conflicts that they were facing. Okay, then this it said that these conflicts can actually make them depressed, right? Can also result in psychosomatic illnesses. This was Erickson's view, right? This is what he surmised from his work with patients in the hospital. Later on, he talked about how what will happen when the world becomes more globalized, when there is a technological revolution. So he talked about this in the 1950s. So the author says that what he talked about in the 1950s now appears to be very prophetic, as if it's coming to be true. Then there's an example of a person B given to us where she's confused about her identity. She or he is, no, she's confused about her identity. I don't know the pronoun that she uses. Then we talk about how identity politics also comes into the equation. Okay, how it comes into the equation when we talk about America's teenagers. Then we give the views of Freud. That Freud talked about how it was a decisive time for teenagers, right? And how this is what separated them. Adolescence is what separated them from previous generations. And or if those issues were perhaps not addressed, then on the other side of the adolescence, a person could be psychiatrically ill. So these are the issues that are discussed in this passage broadly. That America's teenagers are not doing well, then exploring some reasons behind it, and giving the views of two psychoanalysts, Erikson and Freud. 15th, according to Erikson, conflicts during adolescence could be largely mitigated, could be largely prevented by or cured by A. Separating adolescents from their parents' influences. I don't remember reading this. In fact, yes. Wait, Freud talked about parental influence. Erikson did not. So in the last para, I remember that Freud said something about parental influence, not Erikson. So questionable that this is the answer. B. Creating a trial identity, again, because the last paragraph is so fresh in my memory. I know that this was also discussed by Freud only, trial identity. C. Creating conditions for adolescents to be natural and resilient. Okay, we'll see if this is given. Creating a home environment of safety and security. Okay, so let's go to the part where Erikson talks about reducing the conflicts of our adolescents. Society, he wrote, he here is Erikson, must lighten the conflicts for our children. How? Through a promise of security. Okay, see, first of all, safety hasn't been discussed. It talks about security, identity, integrity. Okay, so multiple things. The promise is not just of safety and security, identity, integrity. That allows for, and why are we promising all these things? Security, identity, integrity. Kya hoga? Like, what will happen because of this? That allows for true spontaneity and flexibility. We want true spontaneity. Spontaneous. When we are spontaneous, we are our natural self, isn't it? Flexible. When something is flexible, it's resilient also, like a rubber band. So these two words are actually synonyms for natural and resilient. We basically want our adolescents to remain natural, to be flexible. And that is what will keep them intact. Okay, help them to preserve their sanity. So just safety and security, just a homely environment, that is not the intention behind Erickson's advice. And that is why our option number C is a better option. Okay, C is a better option as compared to D. Okay, and that's why it is the answer. A student could have got confused between C and D, but in case you go back and reread the sentence carefully, then you could have attempted this.